Part 32. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 311. Chapter 311, Revisiting the Old Place. When Tianyuman came to climb the mountain today, he was more interested in revisiting his old place. In fact, she has not been to this mountain for 6 or 7 years, especially after Wang Tiankai left, she rarely came here. Even though this mountain is the highest in the city and Tianyuman comes here often, she has never climbed to the top of the mountain. Her physical strength is too low and she always loses her strength when she climbs halfway up the mountain. For this reason, they always play on a mountainside in the west. There are many little secrets that belong to them there, and there is also a mysterious small cave, which is very secretive. They climb to the middle of the mountain, which was their favorite place when they were children. The slow climb took less than 20 minutes. Their original destination was not the top of the mountain. Not to mention whether Tianyuman had the physical strength to climb. High mountains will collapse to the ground. Tianyuman arrived at the mountainside where she had not seen him for many years. Although it was already summer vacation, there were still not many people there. Especially halfway up the mountain, there are fewer people because everyone wants to climb to the top to see the scenery. After years of development, the mountain road has long been smoothed out. Tianyuman looked at the familiar environment and trotted excitedly to the big stone where they often sat, patting the stone excitedly. Brother Wang, it's Big Stone King, it's still there, and after these few years, it hasn't changed at all. There are very few people on the mountainside here, but it is a very suitable place to watch the sunset. When she was a child, she and Wang Tiankai would often sit on the rocks and watch the sun slowly set, and all the unhappiness and sadness would disappear. The entire mountainside is more than 30 square meters in size. The scenery is very beautiful. There is also a stone table and 4 stone benches. Back then, they liked to bring playing cards and snacks and play doubles here all day long. Naturally, the final result was that the two sisters ended up in a disastrous defeat, almost crying for their father and mother after losing. There is a green lawn in front of Das Hujun. Sometimes when they are tired, they will lie on the lawn and take a nap. There is a maple tree in front of the big stone. When the maple leaves fall in autumn, it is particularly beautiful. When they were children, they loved it when the maple leaves fell, and the demons danced wildly below. In summer, it will become their shade tree. Today's weather is not particularly hot. Standing on the mountainside the cool wind blows away the sweat on Tianyuman's forehead. Looking at the scenery in front of me, the memories of my childhood quickly flowed through my mind. Compared with Tianyuman, Wang Tiankai is relatively plain, with a faint smile on his face, quietly watching Tianyuman running around, pointing to a certain place from time to time, and talking about interesting things from his childhood. "Aren't you tired?" Wang Tiankai sat handsomely on the big stone, with one foot hanging and the other stepping on the stone. Tianyuman stuck out her tongue, walked to him and sat down on the big rock. "I haven't been here for a long time, so I'm a little excited." Tianyuman smiled sheepishly, took out 2 bottles of water from her backpack, and handed one to Wang Tiankai. Wang Tiankai took the water and looked at Tianyuman with some surprise. "Your physical strength is much better than when you were a child, and you are actually carrying 2 bottles of water." When Tianyuman was a child, she would be out of breath even if she climbed the mountain road for just 20 minutes, but now she only sweats a little. "Since I got married, my husband has noticed that I am weak and always pulls me to do exercises even when I am pregnant. He pulls me to do maternity exercises because he is worried that I will not have enough strength during delivery." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 312. Chapter 312, Confession 1. Tianyuman said with a smile. As he spoke, Tanyu's handsome face couldn't help but appear in front of his eyes. Unconsciously, During the chat between Qian Yuman and Wang Tiankai, she would always refer to Tang Yuj intentionally or unintentionally, and she would always call him her husband. Especially after confirming one's own feelings, this kind of address becomes more natural and sincere. Qian Yuman kept talking about improving the system, but she couldn't even unscrew the bottle cap with her hands, and she almost used her strength to milk. The water with the cap unscrewed was handed to her. She raised her head and smiled, taking it happily. "Thank you, Brother Wang. It seems like you have to work harder, but you can't even unscrew the bottle cap. How can you have the strength to give birth to a child?" Wang Tiankai stretched out his hand to touch her hair like he did when he was a child. "Although you are married and about to be a mother, you still act like a child." Qian Yuman held water in one hand and covered her head with the other, sticking out her tongue in embarrassment. Qian Yuman got off the stone and excitedly pulled Wang Tiankai deeper into the mountainside. "Let's go to our secret base." Back then, Lili and the others didn't know about this place, and they didn't know if the wishing bottle they put there was there. At that time, they each buried wishing bottles in the secret base, as well as secrets that could not be told. They were all buried. Secret base. Wang Tiankai's eyes flickered slightly, and Ran Qianyuman pulled him away. Qian Yuman nodded and looked at Wang Tiankai in confusion. "Brother Wang, you sound like you don't know." Wang Tiankai smiled lightly and followed her to a corner. He only had to push aside the vines and weeds outside to see a small cave that could accommodate 4 or 5 people inside. "The small wooden stool I put there back then is still there," Qian Yuman said excitedly, pointing to the wooden stool. However, because no one had sat on it for many years, it was covered with moss and even had a few small mushrooms growing on it. Qian Yuman didn't know where to conjure up a small shovel specially designed for children, and excitedly started digging a hole in the ground. After a few minutes, she dug out a small bottle, which Qian Yuman had buried here. Qian Yuman held up a small bottle that was only in size in front of Wang Tiankai, looked at the small bottle and said with some resentment, "Back then, you left in a hurry and didn't say goodbye to me. I would come here when I was sad. This little bottle contains my complaints about your sudden departure." She pulled the paper out of the small bottle and stuffed it into his hand. Wang Tiankai was slightly lost in thought while looking at the paper in his hand. He looked up at Qian Yuman with complicated eyes. "Manman, I also wanted to say goodbye to you back then, but things happened too suddenly and the situation was out of my control." Qian Yuman chuckled and waved. "Okay, it's all in the past. I'm not a child, so I don't hold grudges that much. The reason why I show it to you is just to let you know how excessive it was for you to leave back then, and that you are not allowed to leave without saying goodbye again in the future." "Good." Wang Tiankai opened the small letter and looked at Qian Yuman's complaint from back then. Looking at the paper with densely written small characters, Wang Tiankai's eyes turned slightly red. "Manman, if I had not left back then, would you have chosen me to be your boyfriend?" Wang Tiankai suddenly raised his head and looked at Qian Yuman affectionately, his tone gentle and serious. Wang Tiankai's sudden question and affectionate eyes caught Qian Yuman off guard and completely unexpected. "Ouch! My Wang! You are too fierce. Is this a direct attack? You scared my little manman." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 313. Chapter 313 Confession 2. "Manman, if I hadn't left back then, would you have chosen me to be your boyfriend?" He stared at Qian Yuman with affectionate eyes, which seemed to have countless love words to tell. Qian Yuman was not in a happy mood, but more shocked and overwhelmed. What is the situation now? Why suddenly, the brother Wang in front of him seemed to be a different person? Are you confessing your love to her now? It's too sudden. Brother Wang, this hypothesis is not funny at all. I didn't expect that after so many years, you would be joking. Qian Yuman laughed awkwardly. Apart from thinking that he was joking, Qian Yuman could not find a better explanation for why he such a sudden attitude change, especially knowing she was married. At that time, she was only 10 years old and Wang Tiankai was 14. The two were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. She was his follower and often clung to him. Since she can remember, she has liked to cling to her brother Wang next door. As soon as she became sensible, she knew she liked him and even vowed to be his girlfriend in the future. This little thought of liking has always existed, and it continued to ferment as she grew older. Finally, one day, she couldn't control herself. The childish little hand grabbed Wang Tiankai's hand to confess, and she still remembers that scene to this day. In the spring garden, she held his hands and raised her little head with a serious expression and a strong attitude. Brother Wang, Xiao Tian likes you so much. I want to be your girlfriend and never leave you for the rest of my life. After saying this, Qian Yuman pulled Wang Tiankai's collar closer to her, and kissed his red lips forcefully with her little red lips. At that time, she was young and only knew how to touch lips. A simple kiss made her happy for a long time. At that time, Wang Tiankai's reaction was surprised. He looked at her with melancholy eyes. He just stared at him blankly without any other response. After her confession that day, Qian Yuman had been waiting for Wang Tiankai's response. She firmly believed that he didn't understand what love was, and believed that he was smart enough to figure out that she was a good girl and worthy of being his girlfriend if given some time, so she happily prepared to be his girlfriend every day. At this point, I never saw him again. When she grew up, she realized that Brother Wang definitely didn't like her, otherwise he wouldn't have left without saying goodbye. As a result, after she got married, raising this assumption did not bring her joy, but instead frightened her. This assumption is not good at all. She would rather Wang Tiankai was joking. Wang Tiankai still looked at her affectionately, making her feel uncomfortable. Ouch, why are you looking at me with such a weird look, making me think I'm a piece of fine pork belly? Qian Yuman tried hard to change the subject, but he kept looking at her with affectionate eyes. Brother Wang, I am already married. Besides, all the assumptions in this world are false. I confessed to you and left back then. Your question is not difficult to answer at all. Besides, I'm almost going to be a mother, so it's not appropriate for you to ask me. Qian Yuman only felt embarrassed and didn't know how to respond without hurting each other's feelings. Wang Tiankai suddenly laughed, then waved the small envelope in his hand and said happily, I'm kidding you. Why did you put so many I like you, I miss you in your envelope that I couldn't help but want to tease you? End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 314. Chapter 314 Sneaking Out to Have Fun 1. Qian Yuman was dumbfounded for a second, staring at the envelope in his hand, and breathed a sigh of relief. She was scared to death. She really thought that Brother Wang liked her and wanted to confess to her. To her, Wang Tiankai was the male she liked when she was a child. When she was a child, he was a dream-like existence that was beyond her reach. After confessing to her after so many years, not only would she not be surprised, but she would be a little scared. What's more, she is already married, so there is no chance of any response. It will only make her not know how to get along with Wang Tiankai. Finally, I met the brother next door whom I met when I was young. I didn't want the relationship to become awkward because of this belated emotional response. It would be nice to be friends. Whether Wang Tiankai is joking or not, Qian Yuman must treat him as joking. Port of Los Angeles, country. Qian Yuman dragged a small suitcase and happily flew to Los Angeles alone to meet her best friend Xiao Xiaofeng. Manman, Here Chow Xiaofeng waved her hands excitedly, her innocent eyes sparkling with joy, and she jumped and shouted on the spot. Qian Yuman saw a friend she hadn't seen for nearly 2 months and flew over quickly dragging her suitcase. Chow Xiaofeng saw Qian Yuman rushing over and was so frightened that she screamed and ran over to greet her. "Manman, please run slowly. Why are you running so fast for a big-bellied woman? You pity my little nephew. It's not that valuable." Her speed continued unabated and she trotted over. Qian Yuman is only 2 months pregnant, and her body is not that precious. She is doing sports such as mountain climbing and jogging. Her physical parameters are very good. As long as there is no violent impact, the baby will be fine. Qian Yuman trotted over with a smile, her little face flushed with excitement, and she opened her arms to give her friend a big hug. "I miss you so much. I haven't seen you for a long time." Yes, we haven't seen each other for a long time, just like we haven't seen each other for several years." The two little women hugged each other excitedly and jumped up and down happily. It was only less than 2 months ago, but it was like they had been separated for several years. They were happily asking after each other, completely ignoring the man beside them. Standing next to Chow Xiaofeng was an imposing man. The man had a handsome mixed-race face and a neat suit. He looked like a social elite. With his expensive custom-made suit, he was obviously rich or noble. The man next to him coughed slightly, attracting the attention of the two little women. Chow Xiaofeng heard the cough, gently let go of her friend, glanced secretly at the man beside her, covered her mouth and chuckled. Chow Xiaofeng happily pulled the man beside her and introduced him happily. "Manman, this is my friend Ye Yuan. I am able to come to the luxury ferry this time only because of his invitation." Qian Yuman looked at the man beside Chow Xiaofeng meaningfully, narrowed her eyes slightly and approached Ye Yuan. "Ye Yuan, right? I am Qian Yuman, and I will ask you to take care of my Xiaofeng from now on." Qian Yuman quickly looked at Ye Yuan. He was indeed an excellent man. No wonder Chow Xiaofeng was unwilling to return to China to develop his career. It turned out that a good man appeared next to him. Chow Xiaofeng heard the meaning behind her friend's words, blushed with embarrassment, and stamped her feet angrily. "What are you talking about? We are just ordinary friends." "Oh," Qian Yuman's final voice was extremely long, with a look on her face like "I don't believe you are just ordinary friends." It's summer vacation, and Qian Yuman and Tangyuj are planning where to go. After leaving San Francisco for more than a month, I occasionally chatted with my friends through phone social software. Ye Yuan and Chow Xiaofeng. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 315. Chapter 315 Sneaking Out to Have Fun Too. Chow Xiaofeng, who was originally going to come to S City, cancelled her decision to return to China because she found a good job in country M. Now in Qian Yuman's eyes, there must be the reason for Ye Yuan in front of her. 2 days ago, Chow Xiaofeng enthusiastically invited Qian Yuman to come to Los Angeles, saying that she would take a luxury ferry out to sea. This luxury cruise ship is not small. It has 6 or 7 floors up and down. There are different entertainment facilities on different floors. There is a very beautiful swimming pool in the open air on the top of the cruise ship. It is reported that this luxury ferry is the maiden voyage of a world-class rich man's private cruise ship. Young rich men at the top of the pyramid from all over the world have been invited. Guests who come to participate must have an invitation letter to enter. There happened to be 3 leaf margins, so Chow Xiaofeng warmly invited Qian Yuman to come. I originally wanted to bring Tangyuj to play, but unfortunately there were not enough places, so I had to let him stay at home alone. Besides, Qian Yuman thinks that Tangyuj grew up with a golden spoon in his mouth. He has participated in this kind of luxury cruise party all the time. It's okay to attend once less. But she has never participated in it. She is afraid of missing this opportunity and doesn't know when she will have the next opportunity. You must insist on playing. Of course, Tanyuj refused and insisted on coming, or she didn't want to come either, saying she was worried about the danger for her to come out alone as a pregnant woman. Qian Yuman didn't care about him. She was alone with Xiao Feng. Tanyuj has always been nervous since he found out that Qian Yuman was pregnant. Qian Yuman was fed up with his fussing, so she secretly packed her suitcase and went abroad to play with Chao Xiaofeng. The cruise departs from Los Angeles, will circle the Pacific Ocean for 3 days and 2 nights, and then return to Los Angeles. The luxury cruise ship was on its maiden voyage. Less than 100 people were invited, but there were hundreds of service staff, all of whom served the 100 guests on the cruise ship. The service level was absolutely comparable to that of the Royal Hotel. Moreover, there are a wealth of entertainment options on the cruise ship, and there are even entertainment facilities such as casinos and theaters, so that VIPs on the cruise ship will not be bored. Moreover, there will be countless lively parties in these 3 days and 2 nights, and even a passionate sea party, which is what Qian Yuman is most looking forward to. Unfortunately, as a pregnant woman, it is impossible to go to the sea to have fun, but she is very satisfied to be able to watch on the cruise ship. Qian Yuman and Chao Xiaofeng boarded the ship hand in hand. It was their first time to participate in such an event, so they were both very curious and excited. The two kept discussing in low voices the luxurious construction of the cruise ship. Manman, is that the entrepreneurial tycoon who ranks first on this year's youth list? Chao Xiaofeng pulled Qian Yuman to discuss the man who just walked past them. Qian Yuman's eyes were confused when she looked at him. She never will pay attention to this aspect. Look, there's that guy, I think I've seen him in a magazine too. Chao Xiaofeng was so excited that she almost screamed because she saw so many familiar young talents. This cruise ship is really, as Ye Yuan said, it is full of young talents and rich people. Ye Yuan stayed with them quietly, and the suitcases were taken to their respective rooms by the service staff. They were left empty-handed to gain experience on the cruise ship. Qian Yuman pointed to the edge of the leaf mysteriously and flirted with her ambiguously. Then is your Ye Yuan the second richest man on the youth list? Chao Xiaofeng's face suddenly turned red, and she pouted and complained. What second? One look at his old face and he's almost out of the youth list. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 316. Chapter 316 Meeting Tang Feishan. Chao Xiaofeng complained that although Ye Yuan was already 30 years old, he looked young, only in his mid-20s. Oh. This one of yours will soon be on the youth list. Qian Yuman's eyes became even more ambiguous. Sure enough, there was something going on between the two of them. They were talking about friends, but she thought they were boyfriend and girlfriend. You. Chao Xiaofeng left quickly and shyly, not knowing how to hide her face from being teased by her friends. Xiaofeng, don't be shy. I know that girls are older and are easily kidnapped by men. I think Ye Yuan is handsome and majestic, which is good. Qian Yuman deliberately raised her voice to tease, and Chao Xiaofeng ran faster. And the person disappeared in a flash. While they were laughing and joking, the cruise ship slowly drove out of the port. Qian Yuman looked around for Chao Xiaofeng, but why did he disappear in a flash? Compared with Qian Yuman, a dirty woman who doesn't know what blushing is, Chao Xiaofeng is much more shy. Qian Yuman teased her a lot during this meeting, causing her face to always turn red. Qian Yuman was looking for someone. Two tall figures walked out from the corner, one was as gentle as jade, the other was handsome and handsome. The two were talking and laughing. I heard that the mysterious Mr. Tang from the Emigrant Group will come to participate in this ferry. I hope I have the opportunity to be friends with Mr. Tang this time, Xia Hongyang said with a hearty smile. Tang Feishan beside him nodded slightly. I hope we can get to know each other this time and have the opportunity to cooperate in business. Xia Hongyang sighed regretfully. Unfortunately, my family is engaged in the electronics industry, so there are not many opportunities for cooperation. If we can get to know each other and become friends, there will always be opportunities for cooperation in the future. While Tang Feishan was talking with Xia Hongyang, he heard a shout in the distance. Xiao Feng, where are you? Hearing the familiar voice, Tang Feishan couldn't help but turn around and look behind him, and saw Qian Yuman and Ye Yuan walking together, looking around. The smile on Tang Feishan's face froze and he frowned slightly. Xia Hongyang shouted in surprise when he saw Qian Yuman. Master Lei, why are you here? Why didn't he hear that Feishan brought Qi Lile to the cruise ship? Qian Yuman heard someone calling her sister's name and quickly looked over. When she saw clearly that the people in the distance were Tang Feishan and Xia Hongyang, she was so frightened that she almost ran away. What's going on? Why are Tang Feishan and Xia Hongyang here? He will also be on a cruise ship. Looking at the cruise ship that has left the port, can she jump into the sea and swim back now? How embarrassing. From Xia Hongyang's name, she knew they mistakenly thought she was Qi Lile. Are you going to pretend not to know me now? Thinking that Lili's foot is injured now, if she denies that she is Qi Lili, will it be detrimental to Lili's plans later? The sky is so big and the earth is so big, why did we meet on the far distant shore and meet at such a crucial moment? How can we explain this? Tell them that she is Qi Lili's sister Qian Yuman, not Qi Lili. Forget it, let's run. I avoided them for 3 days and 2 nights. Qian Yuman turned around and winked at Ye Yuan, pretending not to see Tang Feishan and the others, and left quickly. However, the sunny and handsome Xia Hongyang had already ran over and happily grabbed Qian Yuman. Master Lei, why are you leaving? Didn't you see this handsome guy? Xia Hongyang looked hurt and had a handsome face. Qian Yuman's eyebrows twitched, she couldn't escape, must she face reality? It seems that we can only deny that it is Qi Lili. Anyway, Qian Yuman's identity will appear in front of Tang Feishan sooner or later. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 317. Chapter 317 Qian Yuman is about to cry. Originally, I planned to meet the Tang family under the introduction of Tang Yuj after my sister's incident was over, but now it seems that it will be earlier. I'm actually not, I don't know whether it was because of nervousness or something, but a feeling of nausea came over me. Qian Yuman immediately covered her mouth, ran to the side of the boat and retched into the sea. A gentle big hand gently stroked her back, and a gentle voice came. Are you feeling better? Upon hearing the voice, Qian Yuman knew it was Tang Feishan. He couldn't run away now. Should he continue to deny his identity? Finally stopping retching, Qian Yuman was thinking about how to deny that she was not Qi Lili. Before she could explain, the handkerchief in Tang Feishan's hand gently wiped the corners of her mouth. Look at how vomiting you are pregnant and still running around, and you don't take good care of your body. Tang Feishan looked at Qian Yuman with gentle eyes, and wiped the corners of her mouth gently, with a faint smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. Xia Hongyang ran to them and smiled heartily. Master Lei, are you here to monitor Feishan? You know there are many handsome men and beautiful women on the cruise ship this time, and you are afraid that Feishan will not be sorry for you. Don't worry, as long as I am here, I will definitely keep a good eye on him. But it's not Qi Lili. Before Qian Yuman finished speaking, Xia Hongyang slapped Tang Feishan's hand away and put his arm around Qian Yuman's shoulders. Master Lei, are you hungry? Seeing as you haven't vomited anything just now, your stomach must be empty. It's true that Fei Shen doesn't even feed and hold the baby well. Come on, I'll take you to have a big meal. A pregnant woman must, in order to take a good supplement, Fei Shen let him eat alone. It has been a long time since we have eaten together. Qian Yuman quickly looked around to find Ye Yuan. Now that she denied that she was Qi Lili, she was afraid that neither of them would believe it. I wanted to pull Ye Yuan to explain, but I didn't see Ye Yuan. Apparently she continued to look for Qiao Xiaofeng. Looking at Xia Hanjiang's enthusiastic look, she didn't know how to say that she wasn't. It happened that I had morning sickness in front of them just now, and I couldn't explain it clearly. Qian Yuman had a headache, and it seemed she could only pretend to be her sister to deal with them. Xioxia, I came with my friends, so I won't be with you. Tang Feishan's soft expression froze slightly and his eyes flickered. Xia Hongyang naturally saw his friend's expression and immediately laughed. Okay. Master Lei. You are abandoning our brothers, what's the law of heaven? I'm so handsome. I want to have dinner with you so much. What are you talking about? I also have a friend named Qiao Xiaofeng, who invited me here. My friend is more playful, and she ran off to nowhere by herself. My other friends and I are looking for her. Your room? No, tell me, wait until I find my friend and say hello to her before I come to you. Fortunately, this cruise lasts only 3 days and 2 nights. As long as you find some excuses not to stay with them often, it shouldn't be a big problem. Qian Yuman said so. What else could Xia Hongyang say? The gentle and considerate Tang Feishan proposed to help them search together, but Qian Yuman naturally refused. After parting ways with Tang Feishan and the others, Qian Yuman was walking on the cruise ship, covering her face with her hands, feeling a headache. The world is so big, why do we meet them? I haven't had morning sickness for so many days, but I have morning sickness in front of them. I can't even deny it. Qian Yuman wanted to cry but had no tears. What are you denying? A familiar voice came from behind her. No, good night everyone, it's rare to go to bed before 2 o'clock. Are you going to go to Yandang Mountain to have fun tomorrow? End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 318. Chapter 318 Tangyu's Wealthy Brothers 1. What are you denying? A familiar voice came from behind her. Qian Yuman was startled, thinking that Tang Feishan appeared behind her again, and he heard her muttering. Before she could turn around, she was pulled into a familiar embrace. The familiar embrace held her tightly, and its warm breath blew on her neck, making her tremble all over. Qian Yuman rolled her eyes and covered her head with one hand. She knew who was hugging her without looking back. Honey, what were you thinking about just now? The person hugging Qian Yuman was really Tangyuj. He hugged Qian Yuman's still slender waist tightly, and leaned on her shoulder with his handsome face like an evildoer and murmured in a low voice. Qian Yuman turned slightly and looked behind her. Everything she wanted to say to Tangyuj was choked in her throat because she saw 3 handsome men standing behind her. She has met all 3 outstanding men. The leader is the cold and handsome guy Lan Tianlu, and next to him is the playful and smiling Ji Fan. Behind the 2 of them was the noisy Murong Ye. Tangyu's best friend was the only one who didn't show up. The 3 of them looked at the 2 people still hugging each other with ambiguous eyes, especially Ji Fan, whose eyes were almost slits from laughter, and a slightly lewd smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Qian Yuman frowned slightly, reached out and patted Tangyu's arm hard, and pushed the person away from his arms with a little force. Xiao Manman, don't be shy. We know that you and your husband are very affectionate, and I don't mind if you show off your affection a little more. Ji Fan chuckled and reached out to hug his friend Lan Tianlu, but he backed away in disgust. 1 step away from his hand. Ji Fan took a step back boldly and hugged Murong Ye instead. Xiao Yi, do you think so? Mr. Ji, You don't know that I have been exposed to many displays of affection by them during this period. I, a lonely single dog, have been deeply affected by this. Murongye turned on the thought mode, and Ji-fan still had a bright smile on his face. But he covered Murongye's mouth with his left hand and looked at his friends sheepishly. He was wrong, he should not have turned on Murongye's switch. Brother Lan, fourth brother Ji, Murong, what a coincidence. Jian greeted them with a bright and moving smile on his face. He made different movements with his feet. He lifted up and stepped on Tangyu's feet. She actually brought so many people to watch her. Jian had a bright smile on her face, but the eyes she shot at Tangyuj were filled with murderous intent, asking him how he could follow him when he was in S city. Tangyuj reached out and pulled her into his arms domineeringly, lifted her chin and snorted coldly. You dare to annoy me with that little look in your eyes. Don't you think it's you who should feel guilty? I told you not to come, but you actually packed up your luggage and came here overnight. Don't you know I will be worried about you? You don't know, are you a pregnant woman yourself? How can a pregnant woman be as restless as you? Other pregnant women stay at home for 9 months, but you have been running around for 2 months. Tangyuj couldn't relieve his anger, so he stretched out his hand and pinched her nose hard. His eyes were fierce, but he couldn't make Jian afraid at all. You're too nervous. I'm pregnant, but I'm not disabled. I'm not doing well, Jian complained dissatisfied. Ji-fan on the side came over and smiled at Jian with a flattering expression. Xiao Manman is right, Xiao Jej is too exaggerated. When my mother was pregnant with me, she even ran a marathon. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 319. Chapter 319 Tangyu's Rich Brothers 2. Lan Tianlu, who was standing behind Ji-fan, glanced at Ji-fan with cold eyes and started to complain. Auntie was so strong back then, no wonder she gave birth to you as a freak. Murongye laughed rudely and even couldn't stop it. Afraid of being beaten, he threw Ji-fan away and ran behind Tangyuj to continue laughing. Jian couldn't help but laugh out loud. She was inexplicably struck by Lan Tianlu, an indifferent man, and she laughed so much that she fell into Tangyu's arms. Ji-fan was so angry that he was laughed at by his friends. He snorted angrily and turned around to leave. It was more fun to pick up girls, so he didn't bother to pay attention to them. When Ji-fan ran away, he did not forget to take his companion with him and took the innocent Murongye with him. Jian eyes fell on Tangyuj, looking at Lan Tianlu and then at him. Why are you all here? One person was enough, but 4 actually came, plus Tang Feishan and Xia Hongyang on the boat. They were all gathered together. This ship invites young talents. Not to mention Tang Feishan and the others, the 4 outstanding men beside her just now are definitely the top people in the world pyramid. When Jian, Lan Tianlu, and others met, they were not curious about them. In addition, Tangyuj introduced their background with only a few sentences, so he did not think they were very powerful. It was the last time the senior told Jian about Tangyu's true appearance, so she curiously searched for information about his 3 friends. This search almost made me weak in the knees. Let's talk about Ji-fan first. He is a mythical existence in the financial industry. He plays the financial world like a game. His banks are open all over the world. Chang Junyi is even more amazing. He specializes in selling military weapons, including various types of fighter jets, firearms, and weapons. The variety is so frightening that one order cannot exceed billions or billions. The most terrifying one is Lan Tianlu, a count from a rich country specializing in diamond jewelry. He owns many luxury brands and major luxury shopping malls. He is extremely rich and ranks second in the world wealth rankings. These four appear to be much higher than ordinary people, their wealth is among the top in the world, and their relationship is particularly good. It is simply an amazing combination. The key point is that these four people all like to keep a low profile. Few people know that the four of them are good friends, and they will not cause a sensation among the people wherever they go. As expected, the friends around rich people are all rich people. They have so much money that they can burn it. You're telling me how come you all came here by such a coincidence? The smile on Jian Yuman's face was bright. That, Just when Tang Yuj didn't know how to answer, Lan Tianlu was kind enough to help him answer. This is old Tang's cruise ship. What, yours? Jian Yuman's voice suddenly rose to the point of breaking. Tang Yuj chuckled. Be mine. The two looked at each other awkwardly for several seconds before Jian Yuman took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, calming down the shock in her heart. Mr. Tang, you are so handsome. This cruise ship actually belongs to you. You are so awesome that you want to fly into the sky. Why don't you fly up on a rocket? Jian Yuman stretched out her hand, pinched Tang Yuj's ear, and rushed yelling into his ears. Being a country bumpkin, she was amazed from the moment she boarded the ship. She and Chao Xiaofeng kept thinking how great it would be to have such a cruise ship as their own. They really liked the design and layout of this ship and almost wanted it. Entertainment facilities are available. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 320. Chapter 320. Qilal decides to confess. With this boat, they can go on the boat without any problems. All the facilities on the boat are luxury goods, and even the salary of a waiter is terrifyingly high. It turned out to be her husband's, so it means it's hers. Lan Tianlu had a faint smile on his indifferent face, glanced at his friend with schadenfreude, turned around and left with a smile. Obviously he did it on purpose. Tang Yuj was so angry that he looked at his friend's back with resentment. Honey, please listen to my explanation. I didn't know that the cruise ship you were going to take was mine. After you ran away, I traced your whereabouts and found out that the cruise ship you were going to take was my property. As for these bad people, they just happened to meet each other by chance. Arrived, I was surprised to know that they also came to participate. I definitely did not bring a group of people to capture you. There is no 300 taels of silver here. Jian Yuman's fingers made a clicking sound. Tang Yuj immediately started running wildly with his buttocks in his arms. He ran a few steps and felt that he could not leave his wife, so he turned back and carried Jian Yuman back to his top luxury room. In Tang Yuj's top luxury room, the two couples were lying on the bed, and Tang Yuj played with Jian Yuman's delicate hands. Honey, are you feeling better? Yeah, Jian Yuman responded lightly, feeling drowsy and about to sleep. When he first got on the boat, Jian Yuman was still very lively and even clamored that he could kill a tiger. As a result, half an hour after setting sail, I started to feel seasick. I vomited 2 or 3 times and was completely exhausted from vomiting. It's only Jian Yuman's first time on a cruise that she never thought she would get dizzy on a cruise ship, so she felt comfortable after resting for a while. Because she was pregnant and couldn't take medicine casually, she had to hold the sour plums that Tang Yuj brought to her mouth to relieve vomiting. Suddenly, Jian Yuman's cell phone rang. She lazily took the cell phone handed over by her husband. When she saw on the screen, it was Qilai calling, and all her discomfort and sleepiness disappeared. Although it is currently at sea, because this cruise ship has its own signal tower, she can receive calls from land even at sea. Sister, where are you? Didn't you go out to sea? Why do you always encounter Feishan abroad? He just called me and asked me where I was. I don't know how to answer, Qilai asked in a somewhat anxious voice. Jian Yuman covered her face and sighed with a headache. Sister, I was unlucky to meet your man on the boat. The most terrible thing is that there are a group of acquaintances of mine on the boat. Now I am also very depressed. What should I do? Qian Yuman said that Tanyuj also came with him, and together with his other brothers, it was like a pot of porridge. Qi Lili on the other end was going crazy with anxiety, and Qian Yuman also had a headache. Sister, I've been thinking about it for a long time. You'd better confess it to Fei Chen. It's not good to hide it from him all the time. After all, he is the one who wants to join hands with you in the future. Qian Yuman proposed an idea, but Qi Lili was silent and very hesitant about Qian Yuman's proposal. Sister, I understand. But during this period of time, I still need you to help me hide it. Even if you tell him the truth, I have to tell him in person. This time, I will trouble you, brother-in-law Qi Lili. I thought about this more than once. Speak up. Okay. I'll keep it a secret for you for the next 3 days, and you can figure out how to explain it to Fei Chen. Sorry to trouble you, sister. Qi Lili's voice was muffled, obviously still hesitating. What are you two sisters saying to say thank you? Qian Yuman comforted her sister for several words and almost hung up the phone. End of this chapter.